Oh! Did I scare you? I'm scaring myself right now. Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you all had an incredible Halloween. I definitely did. Being a ghost was actually so much more fun than I thought it would be. So if you're ever looking for a last-minute Halloween costume, it's so easy, and if you get a bunch of friends involved, it's really fun. I think it's really funny, and it was just a good time. Before you do anything, let me know in the comments down below what you were for Halloween this year. I'm definitely big into the spooky season, and I feel like a lot of you also will be. I got my spooky earrings on today. For me, Halloween doesn't end until like the day of Thanksgiving, so the spooky vibes will definitely still be here on this channel for a few more weeks. But for today, we are talking about all the really cool Squid Games tattoos that I've been seeing pop up on the internet in the past few weeks, and I also wanted to talk about pop culture tattoos in general. Should we be getting tattoos of pop culture characters or icons? A lot of people would actually argue that we shouldn't be getting these type of tattoos. So we're gonna go over all of that today. So let's start with the Squid Games tattoos because I'm personally a big fan of the series, and I'm sure many of you are as well. If you've been anywhere on the internet in the last few months, I'm sure you're familiar with this series. On October 12th, Squid Games became the most watched TV series in Netflix history, with 111 million views in less than a month. Netflix actually tweeted this information out, and I always find it a little funny, kind of weird when the sources for some of my information are literal tweets, but I feel like that's just something we're all gonna have to get more used to. So the show is hugely popular. You know this, you've probably seen it, but have you seen these Squid Games tattoos? It seems just as quickly as the show rose to popularity, people are just as quick to get tattoos of the characters and the icons of Squid Games. So this first tattoo is done by Wario, who is a Spanish tattoo artist known as 808 Gang Tattoos on Instagram. They have the costumes on and everything, having the guard tattoo under like the commands of the front man and everything. And on top of that, the tattoo is actually really, really good. So this is black and gray realism of player number 1. And he's holding the marble, and this may as well be a still from the movie because it's just so detailed and really, really spot on. This is just really incredible work from Rich, and he also did this portrait of player 067, and his portraits are so incredibly detailed. He even hashtagged this one single needle, and I cannot imagine the time that this took if this really was done as a single needle tattoo, because this looks pretty big. The details in the tattoos make me think that maybe he did do them with a single needle, and that is just so impressive. This next tattoo is done by Fenrando Souza Tattoo in collaboration with Birao Lettering. And the composition of this one is really great and really represents so many elements from the series. So you have those 3 really iconic shapes that you see everywhere. You have player 456 in the foreground with like a gold front man in the background. And the text says ambition. And this is a really cool tattoo. It reminds me of Trash Polka style. And usually I'm not a fan of Trash Polka, but this is really cool. I think the ink splattering really, really makes the whole thing flow well together and make a really cohesive piece. So I'm a really big fan of this tattoo. The color also is amazing. This next tattoo is pretty cool. It's kind of like a crossover between Squid Games and SpongeBob with this Squidward character with player 1's head on the body of Squidward. And I think it's pretty funny. So this is done by Ralf Nonnweiler, who tattoos in Germany. I love that this tattoo artist mixed the art styles. So he kept the body of Squidward in the Squidward art style, but he kept the face as like the actual realist image of player 1. And I feel like it somehow goes really well together. And I like that he incorporated the jacket that player 1 wears onto Squidward's body. It all looks really cohesive together. So this next tattoo is just, wow, so good. It is done by Yeray Perez, who tattoos in Barcelona. The art style that they went with is kind of like a neo-traditional style, and it just goes so perfectly with the character. I'm obsessed with the marble reflection on the hand of player 067. I think they really captured her facial features perfectly and her expression perfectly, and I feel like to get that done with so much accuracy and the color and everything, it's just blowing me away. I love this one. Really, really awesome. I can't get enough of this tattoo. So to do with individuals thinking that pop culture tattoos might not be the best choice, I submitted a poll for you guys to answer on my Instagram stories where I actually used this tattoo. And the poll was for you to vote if pop culture tattoos are cool or if they're not gonna last. So 67% of you said that pop culture tattoos are cool, and 33% said that they won't last. And I think that that's kind of like the general perception. Either you think that they're really cool or you think that pop culture might go out of style, so you wouldn't necessarily get a tattoo of a movie character. But there's no doubt that in the past 10 years or so, pop culture tattoos have really blown up online in pretty much every style that you can think of. According to Vice, tattoos related to pop culture have skyrocketed amid the 21st century's warm embrace of both tattoo and nerd culture. I think that's a really good point. It points to both tattooing becoming so popular, but also nerd culture, or people who love movies and games and TV shows and comic books kind of coming to popularity together. So it's like the perfect storm for a lot of pop culture tattoos, which I'm a fan of, but I definitely understand those who say we should exercise a little bit more caution. Tattoo artist Danny Elliott, who owns Rebel Muse Tattoo in Denver, Colorado, is really well known for his incredibly colorful and really, really detailed pop culture tattoos. Danny was interviewed by Tattoo Life magazine, where he stressed that it's really important, if you're tattooing characters from movies and comic books, to make your tattoos look unique. He said, quote, "Many people end up using the same images off the internet, so hundreds of tattoos could easily look the same. When you look at my work and see lighting effects, neon graffiti, etc., it's usually because I wanted to make my tattoos stand out against everyone else." While this seems to be especially true for pop culture tattoos, I feel like you could really apply this logic with any sort of popular tattoo design. So if you think about the infamous tiger or lion face, a lot of the same tattoo artists are using the same reference images, which is when the lions and the tigers kind of all start to look the same, no matter who you went to get it done. Obviously, there's many artists that don't do this, but it's a good reference image. That's why many people use it. So the same is for pop culture. Eden Kozo or Kozo Tattoo on Instagram is incredibly popular for his micro color realism tattoos that are usually inspired by pop culture and classical art. When looking through Kozo's portfolio of tattoos, you really can't deny the incredible amount of skill that is here. Where I think Kozo shines the most is when he incorporates pop culture, like current pop culture references, in with classical art imagery, and he creates a kind of like a dynamic dueling piece of like a modern cartoon and a classical art piece. And this is where I think his tattoos just are so mesmerizing, because he incorporates them so well and they're just so well done. There's so many layers of meaning to them as well. So let's look at a few of these. We have the iconic Beatles Abbey Road album cover shot, but instead of the Beatles, it is the Simpsons characters. Super fun, really interesting. If you're familiar with Kozo's work, I'm sure you've seen this tattoo by him, and it's his spin on kind of like a recreation of The Last Supper, which is a famous painting, but the guests are actually cartoon characters. So we have Patrick from SpongeBob, the Joker, Rick from Rick and Morty, Deadpool, The Last Airbender, and Albert Einstein. And it's so interesting to see the mix of art styles in this piece. You have that classical art style with the table, and every single character is in their own art style. Like I said, these tattoos are just mesmerizing, so innovative and different. This one does seem to take up a good amount of space on the arm, but if you consider the size, there's an incredible amount of detail. This could easily fit on someone's whole upper back, but they did it in such a small space on the inner arm, which is incredible. So in an interview with Inked magazine, Kozo is quoted to say, "I'm very influenced by the Japanese animation of Studio Ghibli. For me, they create the highest level of art. Their detail and aesthetic designs have moved me since I started painting." So to Kozo's point here, pop culture imagery is essentially just art. And it's art that's inspired by popular TV, movies, games, stuff like that. But it is art in the end of the day. I think the only real big problem with getting pop culture characters on your arm is that the characters might represent more than you might intend on when you're getting the tattoo. So for example, if you get a tattoo of Rick and Morty, the show is still going on. So if in the future Rick turns out to be a super problematic guy, which I'm not saying he is or isn't, I'm just using this as an example, that can be difficult because it might change the perception of your tattoo moving forward. But I feel like those who get pop culture tattoos definitely understand this. And the tattoos are much more than just the character itself. So when I was researching for this video, I came across quite a few Reddit threads of people who really disagree with people getting pop culture tattoos. Initially, I was definitely surprised by the negativity surrounding others getting pop culture tattoos. But I think a lot of it comes down to these people really just being worried for tattooed individuals. So let's get into some of these concerns. So this one Reddit post was submitted in the subreddit Unpopular Opinions, and the user said that people are going to regret Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and other pop culture tattoos when they are older. The user said this is a concern from their own experience, getting a cartoon tattoo when they were younger and having to get it covered up later on. And they even went on to say that they regret getting tattooed at all because it's not the image that they want to present as a parent. Now, this user's experience is not wrong and it's not bad in any way to share, but it is just that. It's this person's individual experience. Everyone has different experiences with tattoos that depend on so many more factors than just what you got the tattoo of. I do understand this user to an extent, and while I have no pop culture tattoos on my body, I do have some of the same concerns with this person. While I start to get older, I'm 25 now, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any 25-year-old not thinking and being concerned about their future. But since I have tattoos, I do consider, will they present me with any challenges as I get older? So while the concerns are generally valid from this user, what I really can't wrap my mind around is when some people just completely think that tattooed people don't thoroughly think through their tattoos. And just because this individual user didn't think through his pop culture tattoo, that doesn't mean that everyone getting Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad tattoos aren't thinking them through. What this kind of reminds me of is people who have no tattoos tell me, and this happens quite often, especially with my family, people who have no tattoos will come up to me and they will say, like, don't you know how those are gonna look when you're older? And it's just interesting to think about why they're asking me that question, because they don't have any tattoos. I'm the one with the tattoos. And I don't know why they would assume that I haven't considered that, being the one that is tattooed out of the two of us. You know what I mean? That they're just assuming that you don't think about your decisions. But we do think about our decisions. And we think them through quite thoroughly, even people who get pop culture tattoos. If anyone is going to understand what it's like to have tattoos and live with tattoos, it's going to be someone who has tattoos and lives with tattoos. So I don't see the need for the judgment of individuals with pop culture tattoos. You can totally be in a position where you would not get a pop culture tattoo, but that's just your own experience with tattoos. Everyone is different. No one is wrong. But in my opinion, you just don't need to be telling others what they should and shouldn't do with their bodies. And that's all it really comes down to for me. I think a lot of the tattoos we saw today are so cool. And even if the show Squid Games isn't as popular in 5 or 10 years, I don't think that discounts the quality, the meaning, and just some of the beautiful tattoos that we've seen today. I think they're really cool. You can have experiences in your life that you want to commemorate with tattoos. And for me, I feel like regretting a tattoo in 10 years is the chance that I will take, because in 10 years, I also think that if I didn't choose to get tattooed like how I am today, I would also regret not expressing myself in the way that I feel like I want to express myself. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinions on this topic. But that is all I have for you guys today. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you have, leave me this emoji in the comments so that I know that you are a real one. Bye guys.